This call is now being recorded. This
See,
call is now being transcribed.
All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Matt Byers. I am the chair of the Maryland Forward Party, and we're going to get started with our August meeting. So we're going to do a little bit different of format tonight, and we're going to start with, PJ, you're sharing slides, aren't you? Would you advance to the next slide, please? I'll have to do that tonight. So first off, we wanted to, PJ came up with this brilliant idea to show where we are and where we need help. And so we're going to start off with Western Maryland and move our way across. And so John Caves, who is not here tonight, is he? John? No, John's not here tonight. He said he wasn't going to be able to make it. Is our Western Maryland leader and one of the members of the board of directors. And he lives in Brunswick. And he's a wonderful guy and looking for volunteers in Western Maryland. And then I myself, as I said before, the state chair, and I live in Frederick. And so we've got a couple of volunteers in Western Maryland. We need about 300 more. So if you're out in Western Maryland and interested in the Forward Party, give us a ring. And let's go on to the next slide. And Heinz, are you on this evening? Heinz isn't on. Brandon's on vacation, and I think Heinz said he wasn't going to be able to make it this evening. But in Montgomery County, we've got Brandon Barrett, who's our vice chair, lives in Germantown, and Matt Heinz, who I believe lives in Rockville, if I'm not mistaken, is our ballot access director. And so he's handling all of our signature collection efforts. And so we've got a bunch of volunteers in Montgomery County. We could always use more, especially because it's so central. We can have those volunteers go out to other areas and help out as needed. And so we'll go on to the next. Pete Kruger, who is on the line. Pete, do you want to introduce yourself? Oliver Kruger, excuse me. Would you like to introduce yourself, Pete?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Nice to meet everybody. I'm over in PG County. I used to live in Montgomery County. Grew up in PG County. Back out here, just looking to connect with anybody else who is from this area or knows from this area.
Excellent. Thank you, Pete. And then Mike, are you available to talk? I know you were in the car.
Yeah, I can talk. My name is Michael O'Loughlin. I live in Severna Park in Anne Arundel County. Grew up in Harford County, so kind of been all over the state. And now the state is definitely looking to try and get this party off the ground and try and get the interested volunteers into ways that they can help.
All right, thanks, Mike. And please note, we've got everybody's individual emails on this, and the slides will be available later so that you can pick them off of the website and contact any one of us directly. And then we'll go on to PJ.
Yep, I'm PJ Beninati. I grew up in Frederick. But I went away to Seattle for a while, but I'm now back and been back in Baltimore for the last 2 years. And it's excited to see kind of some momentum picking up with Forward, especially over the last couple of months. We're just seeing a little bit more action. It's kind of an exciting, fun time for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, who's next? Kristen Williams. Kristen, are you on this evening? No, doesn't look like it. Okay, Kristen is in Caroline County. I'll introduce her. She's our brand new Caroline County lead. She is very eager to get started and is looking for additional volunteers in her area. That's probably a little bit more of a red area, and we like that because we're trying to not just be Democrats. We're trying to be both sides of the spectrum, so to speak, sort of across the spectrum. And so we like people from all sides that are willing to have conversation and not conflict. So, all right, who else is okay? And then all these areas in dark purple, we still need some help. So Howard County, Harford County, Baltimore County, St. Mary's County, Worcester, Dorchester, and about a bazillion others that I But if you're out there and you're in one of those counties, please give us a ring and or drop us a line, and we want your help to get this party off the ground, because we know this appeals to everybody that hears about us. Everybody's tired of the partisanship, and they want a political system that works. And we really feel strongly that our message of voting reform and nonpartisan primaries and independent registration commissions will lead toward much more polite politics. So, and effective as well. All right. So what do we need in the way of volunteers? Should I just keep talking, PJ, or did you want to talk for a bit?
No, that's good.
So we need county leads. As if we went through the counties where we don't have leads, we need more leads there. We need outreach. So if you want to reach out to new people that email us, and you like communicating by email or preferably by phone, calling people up and saying, hey, welcome to the party. What can we do to help you get involved? We need communications people. We need somebody to handle Twitter. We need somebody to handle Instagram. We need somebody to do press releases and just about everything else that goes along with communications. We're doing the best we can, but we really need a dedicated person for that. Policy priorities. We've got Pete OK working on policies, and he's got some really cool ideas coming up for you guys as far as getting involved in how we define our policies. But we always need more people involved in that, and especially because his discussions are going to be labor intensive. Fundraising. There's I don't know what to say about fundraising. You know, a party needs funds. Political parties need funds. There's just no way around it. And so I'll pitch it right here and now. If you've got $10 a month, $20 a month that you can donate to us to keep us going, to allow us to go to events, to allow us to get this message out to people, every one of those, what seems like a little donation, is really, really critical and really, really important to us. And so I'd really appreciate it if you could see your way toward making that donation. And yes, I am begging. But if you happen to be one of those people that likes to beg, like I just did, we need somebody to do the fundraising. If you've got friends in high places or low places with lots of money, let us know. We'd love to put you in that fundraising spot. Signature collection. Matt Hines would love to connect with you and figure out how we can get a signature collection event in your neighborhood. Maybe you want to do a farmer's market. Maybe you have a community event that you want to set up a table at and talk to people. Maybe you want us to come out to there and you're going to help out in the process. Let us know. We can make that happen. And then campaign support. Well, you'll see what campaign support's about. We're going to have some very interesting stuff coming up in a couple of minutes. But if you go ahead and you go to that link there, go to the Forward Party, MarylandForwardParty.com, and then click on the volunteer openings. You'll see all about that. And then you can just select whichever one you want, fill in your name, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. All right, let's go on to the next one. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to stop talking and you guys are going to stop talking. You're going to raise your hands one at a time, and we want to hear from you. Where are you from? What brought you to Forward? And anything else you want to tell us, such as what local issues are important to you, any ideas for events, anything else you wanted to ask questions about. Floor is open. Who's first? If you don't say something, I'm going to call on somebody.
I can go.
Thank you, Zach, because you were going to get called on first.
Okay. So I'm Zach Buster. I am from Anne Arundel County. I'm the student body president of the AACC. And what brought me to Forward is I noticed in politics that there's a clear lack of making the right decisions in favor of what politicians think is right. So instead of doing what is just right for the most amount of people, they want to please their voter base, and that's not always the best way to manage a local district. And so it's one of those things where I think cutting past partisanship is really important to me, and that sort of goes into what local issues are important. I think corruption would be my main one. That's usually why I've aligned myself with more left-leaning movements. However, I see that Forward Party has had some anti-corruption stuff, and so it's one of those things where I want to ally with any organization possible that is anti-corruption, because that's the only way you can actually tackle corruption. Is you can't just go at it from one party or the other party. You gotta have everyone united together and say, hey, we want to hold our politicians accountable. We want to make sure that money isn't flowing in and out of politics and stuff like that. As far as event suggestions go, I think the because I was actually introduced to the party through one of your ballot signature signups, and I had just come from doing ballot signatures for the Green Party, so it's one of those things where that just you guys being at Annapolis Pride, even though you were getting the ballot signatures and stuff like that, and collecting people's names, you were still making an impression on people, and that's important. I don't think I have any other questions though.
Okay. Thank you, Zach. Yeah, we had a really good time, and Mike could speak to, if he's available to speak, but he could speak to Annapolis Pride. But I know that they had a great time there and met a lot of people and just killed it with a number of signatures. And we learned a lot and we made impressions on people. You're right. Mike, did you want to say anything about Annapolis Pride? Okay, he's driving, so I'm not going to worry about it. I know it says Elizabeth Stewart, but I'm pretty sure that's Bill Stewart, right? Oh. Bill, you sound like you're in a Disney movie. Anybody seen that helium beer thing? That's what he sounds like. Okay. We'll get back to you, Bill. Anybody else have questions for us or want to talk about who they are, what they are, or what they're interested in?
I can go, Matt. Hi, this is Dave Brown from Carroll County. Been working with the Forward Party for about a month now, helping out with a website and doing some signature collections. What brought me to the Forward Party is I don't think the two-party system, duopoly, Democrats and Republicans, is going to improve at any time soon. It's just going to be in the constant state, one source of power, two primary sources of power, just fighting over the crumbs in the middle and nothing getting done. So the ranked choice voting, nonpartisan primaries, and independent redistricting, to me, I think is our one hope to fix the system. I'm really excited to be on board and look forward to success in the future. That's it for me.
Thank you. Whoever Sonny and Cheeto is, you've been on a couple of times, and I'd love to hear from you and hear what's bringing you to these meetings. Would you be willing to speak with us? All right, no pressure, no pressure. If there's nobody else that wants to talk, then I think we'll go on to the next slide. But keep in mind, any questions, we're happy to answer them. We got a bunch of events coming up. We need a bunch more. And so we want to hear from you. PJ, next slide. Yeah, thanks. You want to go through this?
Yeah. So then we wanted to step back just for a moment and make sure everybody was kind of aware of some of these moves that have been happening kind of at a national planning level that is now coming down to the state level. I think personally, I think these are pretty clever approaches that have been laid out here, and we just want to get everybody up to speed and make sure everybody was aware of what's happening. Three major things that has kind of helping to give clarity to what we're doing right now. The first was coming out and stance on the 2024 presidential election. Forward Party has stepped away from that. We have no intention of going after a presidential campaign, and no intention of endorsing a candidate at this point. So all we're focusing on right now is local and state, which is really powerful because that's where the energy is coming from. It's a bottom-up system, and we want to see this change happen in our communities.
And PJ, let me just add to that. You said at this point, I want to make that really clear. We are not going to comment on a presidential candidate as the Forward Party for the 2024 period, the end. So it's not at this point. It won't change. And the reason for that is that at least part of the reason is that we know that the way to eliminate the spoiler effect is to enact our two changes at least, which is voting reform and nonpartisan primaries. And until we do that, we're still a spoiler, and we don't want to be a spoiler.
Yep.
Zach, did you have a question?
No, I meant to put the celebration emoji.
All right, sorry. Carry on, PJ.
The other thing we wanted to mention was National Forward Party stepped back a few months ago, reevaluated kind of all the simultaneous efforts going around the country right now in almost every single state, and realized that if we wanted to make a significant impact for the 2024 election cycle, we needed to kind of focus our efforts a little bit. So they looked at states that had the highest national impact politically, states that had leadership structures locally already on the ground and in place, and states that were feasible, were having success with a forward campaign. And from that evaluation came 12 battleground states, and we're happy to say that Maryland is one of these 12 battleground states. And what that means is that Forward is now able to focus resources towards these battleground states, whether that's human resources or monetary resources. So this is a kind of a big step for Maryland Forward Party. And then the other thing I think added a lot of clarity is, at the time being, right now, we are not a political party yet in the state of Maryland. We're working on building our signature collection. But in the meantime, we do want to continue to build a leadership coalition in the state of Maryland. And so there was some clarity given about a path forward where we could create lasting partnerships through affiliation. And so now we're able to connect with leaders in our communities. And if we kind of agree on a set of shared values, we can agree to that. And they can continue running as a either forward Democrat or a forward Republican, stay registered to the parties that are available right now. And with that signed agreement, we are able to kind of give support through that means.
And let me just add on to that. So there's advantages to both sides. One, we get some press out of that. People start seeing Forward a bit more, but also a lot of Democrats and Republicans have difficulty differentiating themselves from other Democrats and Republicans when they're running in races. And by putting on that Forward moniker in the front, that tells a lot about who they are and how they're willing to get things done, or how they're not willing to get things done, as far as, you know, what their values are. And so we're doing affiliates now, and then once we become a recognized party in the state of Maryland, we will be signing up Forward candidates. But this is where we are, and we've switched from focusing solely on the signature collection to focusing more on affiliate candidates at the moment, because we figured that the affiliate candidates, the theory is the affiliate candidates will bring their cadre of folks along with them, and they'll bring in more people to the events that we go to, and then we'll get the signatures along the way as a byproduct rather than trying to focus on just the signatures. So it seems like a good strategy, seems to be working so far, and we've got some really exciting news to tell you about. Are we there yet?
We are close.
Keep going.
So just to build on that, we are making progress. We're having a lot of really productive conversations right now across the state. These are some of the areas we're having these conversations. A lot of this work is still in progress. So we're talking with people who are interested in what we're doing. They believe in a lot of the values we do. And so we're trying to build some of these partnerships and relationships right now.
And so how many do we have there?
Right now we're in kind of conversations with about 12 city or county council members or candidates, a couple of state delegates, a state senator, and we're talking with a couple potential U.S. congressional candidates. And these are all kind of early conversations, but a lot of them are going pretty well, and there's actually a little bit of momentum and steam that's starting to build right now.
Stay tuned, more to come.
There's still a lot of the state that we are looking to develop relationships and partnerships in. If you are in one of these areas, if you know people in these areas that believe kind of in the value system we do, are interested in conversations and want to talk more, our door is always open, and we love introductions and any connections anybody has.
Great.
And now we get to our big news.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It is our pleasure to introduce somebody to you tonight. This whole time we've been building kind of energy. We're finding that that energy is now taking on a form through a candidate that we've kind of bumped into along the road here. She's somebody we're very excited about. We want you guys to meet her. Has a long history of serving our communities and is ready for a challenge ahead to take on a major role in politics here in Baltimore. I'd like to introduce everybody to Wendy Boswell, who will be running for mayor of Baltimore as a Forward Democrat. This is our very first Forward affiliate. Welcome, Wendy. I think you're on mute, Wendy. Welcome. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, PJ. And I think I met some people when I was at the Pride Festival in Frederick. Yes, yeah. And I was really excited to see all the people that were coming up to your table and signing up. It was very impressive. And I am so thankful that you're endorsing me as a forward candidate for Baltimore City Mayor. And it's so nice to be able to say, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm a forward Democrat. And it just flows so easily. So thank you for that. Because I really had intended to be an independent candidate, but Baltimore City puts you through so many things to do, like trying to get, you have to have at least 15,000 signatures, and that's just a minimum. And that they can't even guarantee that you'll be on the ticket because a lot of those signatures might not be valid. But I'm excited to have your endorsement. I've been a Baltimore City teacher for 10 years, and my motivation to move from being a teacher into politics is mainly because I've had 6 students that have been shot and paralyzed. So I need to work harder to make Baltimore City safer and improve the education system. That's motivating me. And I love Baltimore City. There's so much history, and there's so many good people in Baltimore. And we just need to get a hold of really a lot of the youth violence. And that goes hand in hand with education. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know why my alarm went off. But anyway, but thank you for that. And I hope to, just look at a lot of the issues, work like your philosophy is from the bottom up, let's look at what the problems are. And it's more than education. We have insecurity with food for a lot of people, homelessness, lack of opportunities. So let's look on the ground what we can do to prevent.
But Wendy, there's a question. Do you have possible strategies to accomplish your goals?
Yes, and I've been putting these together for about 3 years now. After my third student was shot, now there's 6. And basically, I have started on the ground roots level, and I became the president of Upper Fells Point Improvement Association. From there, I looked at what were the problems in our area, and again, crime was on the uptick. So I wrote a grant and got $80,000 to make Upper Fells Point safer. And so we're in the process of installing cafe lightings, because just installing cafe lights can make an area 60% less crime in that area. And then we're putting up some more lights in the area. And then on top of that is we have security cameras that we're installing. And then we're doing little things like, it's called street calming art. We're going to paint the areas where the traffic is going really fast, and then people will slow down because it's so beautiful. But just little things like that add up to making Baltimore safer. I'm working to address areas like we have 15,000 vacant homes, so I'm looking into that because that also goes hand in hand with crime. Then I'm also working with a committee, and I volunteer also for the Helping Up mission, where we're looking at mental health and problems that are affecting, drug use and, suicide, all these issues that go hand in hand. So I could go on those things that I'm working on, but I just want to really focus today on that. I really am working on just promoting generational wealth and just also looking at ways that we can help. And I'm looking for any suggestions also.
Excellent.
Thank you, Wendy. Wanted to open up if there were any other, if there are any questions. We have a few minutes.
There is one new one on there. Miguel, did you want to ask your question, Miguel?
Hi. It was just a simple question in the chat. I just looked at your website. Love it. Definitely gonna donate to it. I believe that we should have more like-minded people like you in office. But I do have a question about the equity in education. You really value education, which is something that I really, really respect in a politician. And one thing we're seeing in Maryland is a lot of local governments giving youth voting rights in school board elections. Would that be a agenda, or at the very least a policy that you would be willing to support in Baltimore in granting 16-year-olds to 17-year-olds the right to vote in school board elections?
In school board elections, that's a good question. I haven't really looked into that. What I really need is that as a Baltimore City teacher, I have seen inequity of how schools are managed. It's a $407 million budget, and there's 163 schools, and they're give the budgets to each principal, and they have total autonomy of that budget. So there's no equity in that, because if your principal can do a good job balancing that couple million down to the payroll, okay. But when I was a Baltimore County teacher, everything was equitable to all schools. Principals took care of managing their schools, make sure kids come to school. And then as a teacher, if I needed something, I just went to the central office and got the computer, the books, and called for the things I needed. I was never told that it wasn't in the budget. In my 10 years in Baltimore City, anytime I've asked for books or computers or anything for my classroom, like my overhead was broken, I was always told that it was not in the budget, and I had to take it out of my own pocket to purchase books, overhead, and laptops. And that's not a really good use of $407 million. But I think if it's done centrally, then we're able to build more equity through all the schools, and not just schools that maybe a principal knows how to use those millions. A principal for a high school has 15 to 16 million, and that's a lot of money. I think Zach has a question.
So what policy changes would you propose to sort of centralize the budgeting process more? And how would you prevent that centralization from becoming like a problem in the opposite direction, where there's no
Okay.
oversight?
Well, I think right now there's not much oversight because you have 163 principals, and then you have to figure out, did their budget correctly? Are they using the money right? And I think, have you seen in the news, there's a lot of stories where it's really not used that way, not used correctly. But it's a process, and that's why I'm running for mayor and not city council, because the city council has no say in the budget, really, for the Baltimore City Schools. It's between the mayor, it's between the superintendent of the schools, and the board. So it would be nice to include some students in that, because that's where all the decision making is happening. So in order to make any change, I have to, first, I'm allowed to I'm able to have some people on the board that I appoint. Then I have talked with whoever the superintendent is, and then we present something to the board. So it all is going on to the school board. And I think what has to change is there has to be a bill put in place that our city council can have some say in what happens in the budgets and how they're run for Baltimore City Schools. Because we elect these officials to run our city, and if part of the budget, $407 million, they have no say over, that's not right. So I feel like that needs to be changed. But the way it's set up now, I have to work with the superintendent and say, look, we need to make this budget done centrally and then get the board's approval. But usually if you have leadership like that, you can get these things through and done. That's what I hope you do.
Great. Thank
And
you.
And people aren't aware of it. Once people understand the concept, and if you look, Baltimore County and Baltimore City have way different outcomes. You have 80 to 90% graduation in Baltimore County, and you have about 60% in Baltimore City. So right there, just shows the difference.
Okay, great. Arnie,
Yeah, Arnie.
Arnie, you have to come off mute, bud.
Are you asking us
Can
anything?
you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear
Yes.
you now.
All right. Nice to meet you. I have a
Okay.
two-part question, I guess, or some data.
Sure.
60% of our infants and toddlers aren't ready for school.
Right.
60% of our public school kids test below proficiency levels in all grades and subjects.
Yes.
What do you do to get the kids ready for school and the schools ready for kids?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I also have worked in infants and toddlers in the summer to identify kids in Baltimore City that were not ready for school, and let's see what we can do to help them. So you're right. That's where we have to start. And we identify students in Baltimore City, but there's not a lot of services to provide to those parents. So you need to get more money for that. So that's one thing to do when they're younger. And then the biggest thing is the reason why it's so low is that we have a high truancy level for students in Baltimore City. So it doesn't matter what the schools are doing or what programs you have. If the kids aren't coming to school, then you have an issue. So we have taken away truant officers in Baltimore City. So I plan to implement truant officers again. Right now you get a robocall, and that's about it. after 3 days, a child is truant. So after 3 days, I want a personal call from the principal or the vice principal. Then after 5 days, I want to make sure that someone is checking on that kid. And let's make sure they're okay if they're not coming to school and we don't have any reason for that. So first, we have to work on truancy and educate parents on how important it is to bring their kids to school. Second, we have to get more parent involvement in schools because kids only do really what they see us do. So the biggest thing is to encourage reading. So I would like to, this is one of my plans, start actual classes a little later because as a teacher, many of the kids were coming in late. They didn't have any breakfast. So I want to make breakfast a half an hour longer and have parents be able to come in the morning and have reading time a half an hour before school actually starts, where they go to the classroom. Then we have the parents with books reading. Then we have the kids getting the food they need. And then we'll start our day a lot better. And when kids realize that their parents realize that reading is important, that is going to go a long way into getting our kids having a good start in school. Also, I want to address the dropout rate that we have in Baltimore City. And one of the things that worked in Tennessee, one of my favorite people, Dolly Parton, has initiated a program where you pick a buddy and you agree with that buddy that you are both going to work together to graduate high school. So it starts in middle school. You pick your buddy. If you can't find one, they help you find one. And then they have now went from having maybe, 60% to 80% graduation rate. And then they get $500 when they complete high school. That's $500 well spent. And I'm hoping to get someone to endorse that or sponsor that if I don't have the money in the budget for it. So I think it's just different little things like that that can make a difference. Plus, I feel like we need to start officer friendly again. I want police officers going to the school, meet the students, even if it's once a month, so that when crime does occur, they're not afraid to go to the police station or to call the police officer because now they're seeing them as a friend. And then we also want to build more police officers, even young people that want to go into that, which we're having a lot of problems with. So I'm hoping that that will be another avenue, that if you have a role model as a policeman, that you will become one. So I feel things like that will really make a difference. Also, we need to have more after school programs. We have the Police Athletic League, which has been kind of disbanded. And we have the buildings, we have the buses. Let's get that back together. And that will really make a difference for our kids.
Wendy, can I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
I did a study years ago,
Okay.
three counties in the Eastern Shore and some Baltimore City schools, the study of truancy officers.
Mhm.
And all of them said that their principals don't let them do their job. And the one in Baltimore puts the meat on the bone, saying not only do the principals not want the students them doing their jobs, they want the students not to come in because they lowered the test scores, the students that were truant. And she went beyond that and showed me a double set of books that keeping the truant officers from doing their job and keeping the kids out of school lost money up on the FTE payment system. So the school was keeping a double set of books. The kids were coming in at 11:30 for a hot lunch and then going home and being checked as if they were in there all day. So how is that still going on, and how would you deal with that kind of problem?
I think it's not going on because we don't have truant officers. So I don't know when your study was.
Well, it was 20 years ago. But
Yeah. So there aren't, and I want to at least get something in place so that we can work on that. And I'm not aware of the double books because we didn't have an officer that was in place.
So I want to interrupt for just a second. I want to be respectful of everybody else's time. So,
Sure.
We could talk all night, and it sounds like we're
Right,
having
yes.
really great conversation, and this is
Thank
terrific.
you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to cut off questions at this point for Wendy. We're going to finish the slides, and then anybody that wants to ask Wendy some more questions, assuming that Wendy can stay, you guys can continue the conversation afterwards. Does that sound like a fair plan?
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not trying to cut off the conversation. I want to make sure that we get through everything that we want to get through. So,
Thank you.
all right, so let's move on to the next slide. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Wendy. And Wendy, you've generated a lot of discussion tonight, so people are interested. That's good.
Okay.
And welcome.
Thank you. I
And,
love it.
and PJ, can you? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So, since our last meeting, just wanted to keep everybody updated on what we've been doing. We did the book club. Arnie had a lot to do with that, the politics industry. And we had a coffee chat and meetup. Mike had that on July 13th. I'm still doing beer with the chair. I don't know why there's more than one S on beer, but that's okay. I just have one beer at night. And I'm doing that regularly in Frederick every 2 weeks. So if you want to come out and have a drink, not have a drink, just have a discussion, whatever, I will be at Brewers Alley this Thursday and every other Thursday after that from 7 to 8. PJ, you did Baltimore Brews on the 15th. We had the 1-year forward anniversary party on the 27th. We had it was nationally broadcast, and we actually had a watch party at my house and had a bunch of people over, and we had a good discussion afterwards, which contributed to some of our priorities discussion and to some of our candidate pledge discussion. And then John Caves did Hagerstown Coffee Break just a couple of days ago, and there'll be more of those too. So keep a lookout for ways to get in touch with us in your local area. We're trying to reach out as much as possible. Signatures, not all that many signatures at the moment, but like we said, we've been concentrating on things like talking to Wendy and getting her to sign up to be a candidate. So that's where we've been focusing our efforts. And also August has been kind of a dry month for activities that we were able to do because of the small number of board members that we have and being able to get to those activities. So the more people we have to volunteer, the more activities we can do. And so last month we got 91 new supporters. Yay! That's a lot, actually. And 8 new volunteers, 7 new donors, and we had a 100% increase in donations. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, that 100% of increase in donations went from about $150 a month to about $300 a month. So not a huge amount of money, but 100% increase nonetheless, and we're going to celebrate that. So, we had 100. PJ, you want to comment on the Instagram one?
Yeah, both Instagram and Facebook have been trying to promote. We're really trying to expand these networks right now, and putting content out there, trying to get people excited. And we've actually had a big increase over the last 30 days. We've reached 106% more accounts than we had the past 30 days. So we need to continue spreading the network, and it seems like we're on the right path.
And if you guys want to help with that, there's something really painless you can do. Just click the like on the link, and it makes a big difference. Or the post, whatever. Click those likes, share those posts. That makes a big difference on our visibility to others. Okay, upcoming events. Like I said, Thursday I'm going to be in Frederick at Brewers Alley. We got the book club coming up on the 16th. Now what? How to move forward. So you can sign up for that if you have read the book, if you have not read the book, if you're interested in the idea of what the book is but have no idea what it is, join the call. See what could it hurt? And then again on the 24th, I'll be in Brewers Alley, just making myself available to you guys. And we'll be doing the Green Belt Labor Day Festival on September 2nd. And then what we haven't put on there yet is we just decided last night to do the Color Festival up in Catoctin, which is October 14th. Yeah, something like that. So help us plan local events. Do petitioning at a farmer's market or a grocery store or a festival. Do your own social event. Have a watch party. group walk, go to the driving range with a bunch of people, invite some folks out. And if you decide to host one of those events and you want one of us to come out to talk to people, happy to do so. We'll find somebody to come out. And there are instructions on how to host your own event on the upcoming events page. All the way at the bottom, there's actually a link and a packet of information. Stuff we've done on the website. So we're constantly improving the website. We constantly like new ideas. We added the candidate affiliation pledge. You should go read it. It's what we're asking our candidates to commit to, and Wendy signed it. And while it seems like it's really, really general, it's also really, really specific about what we're willing to accept in a candidate and what we're not willing to accept in a candidate. And so these people are committing to be a forward candidate. Look forward in the near future to bios of our candidates, bios of the board members, county specific pages, and then anything else you guys want to see, let us know and we'll put it up there. You don't like the way the colors are, you don't like this, give us some feedback. We want the feedback. And Dave, who was on here earlier and talked for a moment, loves to do all things with the website, so he would love to get your feedback.
Good job.
All right, what's next? Oh, and there's John Caves. Hey, John, welcome. Glad you could join us. So I wanted to point out merch. So last month we announced that we had a new merch store on Printify. We've had several orders. It's all print to order, and the Maryland Forward Party gains something off of every purchase. We have some really cool stuff out there. There's a sport polo shirt, which I couldn't find mine tonight, otherwise I'd be wearing it. The men's polyester tee is all over print with Maryland flag in the background. It's kind of cool. And we added, somebody said, well, why don't you just do plain t-shirts in different colors? Well, now we have a jersey short sleeve tee that's in like, what, 6 different colors or something, Mike? I don't remember. But help yourself. And then sweatshirt, bag, hat looks pretty good, don't you think? Hey, if you're really, really keen, you can get the license plate frame. I put one on my car. It looks really cool. So there's the QR code. And just keep in mind, part of that is a donation to the Forward Party. And so we appreciate it. Let's move on. Okay. You want to cover this part, PJ?
We touched on it before. The QR codes are active QR codes. If anybody wants to take a shot of those right now, feel free to jump on, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. The accounts are pretty active and we're trying to keep them relevant, particularly as we have more and more candidates. We want to be sharing that information. We want to share their platforms with everybody. So that'll start to be the really exciting stuff. We've been trying to build up a base on our social media as far as our value system. But we're going to get excited about sharing news about candidates in the coming months here. Great.
I love that picture. That picture was in your office in Baltimore when we were doing the petition signature collection.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's a great picture. All right, let's move on. And so how can you guys help? Thinking about who you know that is run or should run for a political office. Remember, we're talking city offices, we're talking county offices, we're talking town offices. You're really ambitious, you can start thinking about state delegate or state senator. But also, you don't have to run yourself. You can talk to those people. Hey, you seem like you're kind of middle of the road. You seem like you want to get along with everybody. Have you thought about the Forward Party to differentiate yourself from some of the more extremists? So maybe they're your friends, your neighbors. Tell them about yourself. Tell them about what you're doing. Sign the party petition. If you haven't already done so, please go to the website, click the petition link at the top, download the petition, fill it out, read the instructions. Please read the instructions. Please read the instructions carefully. I've had to send a couple of them back. I want to count your petitions, so please read the instructions. And then mail it in to me. and I will put them in the system and pass them on, Mr. Hines, and you will be counted. Sign up for Discord. We are having discussions daily on Discord. And if we're not saying anything in the General Maryland channel, it's because we're all talking in the Maryland Leadership channel constantly. So say something, say hi, say, I have a question in Discord. We'll be happy to talk to you. Donate, donate, donate. Can't say that enough. Go to the donate link. Appreciate those monthly donations. The recurring ones really make our day, even if it's $10, $20 a month. Couple of cups of coffee at Starbucks and you're all good, but it makes a big difference over here. Volunteer, choose those volunteer openings. And if you think somebody should run for office, go click the link and give us a suggestion for a candidate and we'll talk to them. What else we got? We want to hear from you. I keep saying it. So email us, go to the website. Let us know what you think and let us know what you want to hear and see and where you want us to be and what you want us to do. We're here for you. And together we will move forward. Okay. Anybody have any questions before we turn it over to Wendy so that she can continue to? Yay, Zach joined the Discord. Miguel, you have a question for me or you have a question for Wendy?
Question from the Maryland party.
Yeah.
So I've been doing like a lot of like scoping work with other state parties, and one thing I've have been recurring to is like states like Utah, Virginia, New York, Florida, even places like Illinois, Minnesota, and other states having an easy time getting central left people to join the party, but really coming up short when it comes to getting moderate Republicans. Now, from experience, I am Republican. I used to identify as Republican. And there's one thing I will say, being a Republican is more than an identity. You're grown up to be Republican more than you are grown up to be a Democrat. It's something from personal experience. And because of this like recurring issue that I've been finding within forward parties, is the Maryland Forward Party looking at strategies at trying to attract moderate Republicans who are like Larry Hogan, basically. Not like Larry Hogan himself, but people like him that understand moderate Republicanism. So again, like, is there any strategies about attracting those types of people?
Absolutely. So first of all, at least 2 of our board members are more right-leaning than left-leaning and used to be called Republicans. So we consider their opinions on a regular basis, and whenever some of those of us that are a bit more left have an opinion, like myself, I stop myself and I say, hey, what would Mike and John have to say about this, and make sure that we get their point of view included in this. And so they contributed greatly to the candidate pledge, and the wording in the candidate pledge was partially redone because of their comments, and we all came to an agreement on it. So the party itself is very committed to being a center coalition cooperative party. And so we're very happy with ourselves for that, but also we're reaching out to others. We do have some ideas about where we can get some Republicans. I don't want to speak too much about it because we have some candidates in mind, and I don't want to give anything away until we've actually had conversations with people and gotten commitments, just like I didn't give away anything on Wendy until committed. Excuse me, I have to respect their privacy and their you know, when they're ready to talk, they're ready to talk. So I have to respect that. But we do have some ideas, and we are trying to reach out to them actively. Does that answer your question, Miguel?
Yeah, pretty much. But like, I have like an idea. It's a copy idea that a group called Republicans for Accountability. They're basically never Trumpers, basically. And one of the things that I really like about their website is you look at their testimony site, and it's just endless videos of ordinary Republicans basically saying why either they used to be Republican or why they are Republican but anti-Trump. I feel like, and again, this goes back with like the mindset of Republican. They're like a unit, basically. Unless people start leaving that unit, they're going to stick together. So I feel like, and this is where the idea comes from, if we could like take that Republican accountability idea and post videos on either Instagram, Twitter, or even our own website about, hey, my name is, I don't know, David, and I used to be a Republican, and now I'm before this, like stuff like that, to like attract more Republicans. Like, David left the Republican Party, so maybe I can too. So that's just like an idea that I've been wondering that could be a good idea or not.
I think that's a terrific idea, and it's one of those ideas that we should pursue, and let's say we will pursue it when we find a communications director that can take that on. Because honestly, the 7 of us on the board right now are kind of at our limit, if you understand what I mean. Like we're stretched pretty thin. But that is a great idea. And we've talked about podcasts, we've talked about videos of that kind of thing. Doing it from a testimonial Republican point of view, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Miguel, one other thought there. That map that we were looking at earlier, we are trying to look out to branch out to other parts of the state right now too. Kind of the near shore, eastern shore, some areas that tend to lean a little bit more conservatively. And we're hoping to find some allies and real partners through that exploration. And so we'll keep you posted if we do, or as we do.
Let me ask you, Miguel, are you in Maryland, or are you just joining us from outside?
I'm joining from outside. Currently, though, in Maryland, actually on vacation. I'm visiting the DC area. By the way, beautiful state, by the way. Like, holy cow. Really beautiful state. Small, but beautiful.
You think it's small until you try to drive across it. It's not really as small as you might think. But yes, it's a beautiful state and we love it. Thank you. And thanks for joining us tonight. All right. Anybody else have any questions for the Maryland Forward Party, or should we turn it over to Wendy to answer some more questions? Okay. All right. So, Wendy?
Yes.
You're up. Anybody wants to ask questions for Wendy? Now's your chance.
Great.
Thank you all for joining us this evening.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay, Miguel's first.
Okay.
I feel bad for taking this much up, but it's just a really simple, really short question. I'm not even going to get into it that much. I just want to propose this idea.
Sure.